Hey all, Tony Bing here. Hello and welcome to my Endless Arsenal endgame build for Punisher for Marvel Heroes Omega for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Now in this build guide video we will look at the skills and talents required for the build, we'll check out the synergies, we'll look at the first 100 infinity point allocation, we then check out the general gear and priority, and we finish up with some gameplay to show off the build and how the rotation works as well. Now as always there are links within the description if you want to jump to any section. Otherwise, we'll start off by looking at the skills. Skill setup we have here then is all about really using our ammo as quickly as we can so we can refresh all the charges on the cooldown skills that we're about to cover. Now the best way I've found to get our ammo down really quickly so we can refresh it is all painless, and it looks awesome as well because it's a minigun. So it channels 4 times per second 20,000 damage, which is pretty insane, and you get a huge 50% damage resistance while you're channeling it as well, which is great. Now the first cooldown skill we look at is Pineapple Grenade. This provides sure vulnerability with 8-second cooldown, and we have 2 charges. We then have Volatile Nerve Gas, so this will do your initial damage packet, works as a dot, a slow, and it lasts for 6 seconds and it has 1 charge. Now next up we have Rocket Propelled Grenade, and this is recently changed and it's fantastic. It now crouches down and fires off all 4 rockets quickly, one after the other. There's a nice amount of damage, does extra damage to enemies in the centre of the target, and you have 4 charges of it as well. Now after you've fired that off and you've destroyed most of the trash, then we move on to our more single target orientated skills. We've got Magnum. This will fire 6 shots on a single target, 100% critical hit chance, so great for taking down elites. And then when their health is low, you finish off with Sniper Shot, so it does a huge amount of damage, but it works as an execute and you gain 1 charge on that. So what will happen is once you've used all these charges, you'll then jump back to old Painless, run through all your ammo, and that will then refresh all the charges and all the skills again for you. But just before we look at the talents, we have the signature, so you use as and when required on bosses and elites. Davy Crockett does a whopping amount of damage. I'm hardly geared and it's hitting for over 1 million, and it's got a 30-second cooldown, and you're also invulnerable while casting it. Next up, let's have a look at the talents. So it's a real nice simple setup we have with the talents, of only real one variation you can use if you choose. The first talent anyway is Lightweight Magazine, so with this rapid reload automatically activates when you run out of ammo. That's why we use old Painless to quickly run out of ammo, and ammo cost reduction is 25%. We then have Hollow Point Rounds, so your bullet powers, and this will be your old Painless and your Magnum and Sniper Shot, leave a dot on the enemy for 3 seconds. Now alternatively, if you want a bit more utility and charges on your grenades for the vulnerability and the slow and the dot, you can use this one here, which is Multi-Shot Grenade Launcher, and it adds an additional charge on them. We then have Multi-Barrel Rocket Launcher, so this is great. It gives the rocket launcher the 4 charges and 100% critical hit chance as well. Next up is the Nuclear Option. This buffs your signature, so when you reload, the cooldown of the Davy Crockett is reduced by 5 seconds and the damage goes up by 25%. And then finally we have Handheld Minigun, so full auto transforms into old Painless, that's the main filler we're using. Deals increased damage, spends more ammo, and reduces incoming damage while channeling, and also looks pretty awesome as well on top of that. But next up, let's have a look at the synergies. Synergy wise, here then we start off by looking at the main attributes, which are fighting and intelligence. That's covered by Beast and also now Elektra and War Machine, so fighting characters can do really well now from Synergies. The more generic ones are Blade, Hawkeye, Hulk, She-Hulk and Squirrel Girl, and the ones that specifically work great on Punisher would be Punisher and also Star-Lord as well. But next up, let's have a look at the infinity point allocation. So just before we look at the infinity setup that I am using, I will tell you the infinity setup you actually want to avoid using. Now you want to avoid putting 100 points into the Mind Gem, because it then gives you the increased cost reduction, which you don't want, because that means it will take longer to refresh all your charges. So just bear that in mind. When it comes to the Time Gem and you have speed in there, you want to avoid that, because your main filler, old Painless, isn't actually affected by speed at all. So for that reason, I've went for a pretty simple option here, the Soul Gem and Fighting. So it's 4 Fighting, which will be 16% base damage, and we also get the masteries. When you fall below 30% max health, you trigger your med kit, which is pretty nice, and increased healing from your med kit as well there. But next up, let's have a look at the gearing priority. As always then, with this section, what I'll do is just give some general tips on how you want to gear for this build, and that means in future when new gear comes out, you can apply these tips to help you decide if you want to move around items. Now if you look at the legendary first, I would be using the golden bow of Apollo for the damage rating and crit rating to range powers. Not really using the attack speed at all, but the rank 3 and rank 5 procs work nice on him. We then have our medallion, and as a full range build, Mandarin works fantastic. When it comes to the relic, again we would be using the medallion. When you have the artifacts, you want to go for his primary attributes, so that would be fighting and intelligence. That generally tells you the kind of a tribute or the kind of artifact that you're actually looking for. Because he does have the 100% crit chance on his magnum and his rocket launcher, and he also has crit rating on his legendary, you maybe want to go a bit heavier on the brute rating on your slots 1 to 5, your ring and your medallion as well, so do bear that in mind. But with the gearing section covered, we'll show off some gameplay now. Now this gameplay is purely to show off the actual build and how it works and how the rotation works. It's not to show how he performs in endgame gear, because as you can see I don't have endgame gear on him at the moment. But this will be a run through the Subway operation, full bounty clear. I hope you enjoy it. If there's any questions, as always, feel free to ask, and I'll see you all again soon.